And what's going on, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving week. 45 degrees here in the state of Alabama where I am. It's a cool day, really nice outside, good fall weather. Sitting here, and with it being Tuesday, we're going to look at my top 25 ranking projections for tonight's playoff show. And I didn't do this necessarily based on record, although I'll say this. Should we rank teams based on record alone? For example, should one-loss teams be below a two- or three-loss team? In a way, I think so because, you have to look at strength of, forget strength of record or schedule real quick. Just overall, look at record. I think that it's weird to see, for example, before I get into my predictions for what's going to happen in tonight's ranking show, as it is Tuesday, November 23rd, 2 days from Thanksgiving. Hope y'all got your turkeys, cranberries, all that stuff. Let's go ahead and real quick look at what the current rankings are when you look at it. I thought about recording this one, but I said, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm in a hurry to get this in before tonight's ranking show, of course. And I just figured I'd go live for it. But that's the top 25. That's the coaches poll. So this is this week, actually. We're waiting on week 13 of the college football playoff rankings. The AP poll's out. It's practically meaningless. Why should we really look at it too much, at least in my opinion? But here it is. Here's what you have, right? Georgia, number 1. Bama, number 2. Let me zoom in just a little bit. Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Michigan State, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, Wake Forest, Baylor, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, BYU, Wisconsin, A&M, Iowa, Pittsburgh, San Diego State, NC State, Arkansas, UTSA, Utah, Houston, and Mississippi State. Some of these teams on this list I do not have. And quite honestly, I really don't care. And clearly, and I'll go ahead and say this, clearly head-to-head competition should matter but doesn't. Because, I mean, records don't matter clearly because you have a 10-0 team at 22. You have all these three-loss teams. You have a 7-3 A&M team above a 8-2 Iowa team. Now, again, say whatever you want to. Oh, well, the losses that they have compared to Iowa and this, I get that. And that's kind of how I got at this in a way. You have a team. Wake Forest now has 2 losses. They lost to Clemson. In a way, I kind of, put some teams in there that haven't been in there in a while. Some new teams are in there. Clemson had at least 4 votes in the coaches poll or whatever. So, I mean, it's not like Clemson necessarily isn't getting any attention. They're Clemson. They do still have one of the better defenses in football. The problem with them, obviously, is their offense. But I gave them some credit. They're 9-3 right now. Actually, I'm sorry, they're 8-3. Let me fix that. But anyway, for me personally, if you beat a team and it's fairly recent, right? For example, Clemson beating Wake Forest. Well, Wake Forest is going to fall, right? They're going to fall down somewhere. But how high is Clemson going to be in there if they do get a spot? I think after that win, I think that they should. That being said, let me just go ahead and get to 25 through 20 for you. I like a team like Houston. They were not ranked last week. They get in there. I dropped them down just slightly one spot. Maybe I could have kept them at 24. I don't know. But I got them here. They're 10-1. They just picked up a good win. Mississippi State, honestly, with Mike Leach this year has looked pretty good. They pick up a good win. They're now 8-4 or 7-4. I'm sorry. They beat Auburn on the road, who was 17 at the time. They're probably going to have a good game this week against Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. Tennessee State is, that's nothing really, but, it's still a pretty good win, 55-10. I'd give them credit there. Their offense is looking great. I like Will Rogers. I like the guys that they have, and I like what Mike Leach is doing. I'll give them credit and maybe put them at 24. And you could switch these teams around. Let's be honest, until we hit the top 15 here pretty soon with what I have, that's really when it's going to matter. I kind of – outside of the top 15, I just look at teams like, okay, they should be ranked somewhere. Does it really matter if, you put them at 24 instead of 25? Who cares? Who cares? I got Mississippi State at 24. Arkansas 7-4 too. They're still a good team. Maybe it's not exactly what we expected. They were on a really good roll. Arkansas just beat Mississippi State a couple weeks back. They're 6-3. Or 7-3, I'm sorry. 7-4. 7-4. Anyway, but their losses are good. First off, they just lost to Alabama by a touchdown. By a touchdown, 7 points. They competed. They had a chance. I'm going to be honest, I was a little worried that Alabama wasn't going to get this done because Arkansas was coming back a bit, and they were looking really good against the Tide in Tuscaloosa. They lost to Auburn. They lost a really close one to Ole Miss. They didn't score on Georgia, which is a red flag, but at the same time, we know what Georgia's made of this year. Their losses are not bad. And the wins that they've had at the time was number 17, Mississippi State by 3. At the time in week 2 was 15, Texas, right? By 19 points. At the time was number 7, A&M, which I think this was A&M's first loss right here. And they won by 10 at home, 20-10. So, Arkansas is, God, this season is just crazy. I got to give Arkansas some props. They got to be ranked somewhere. They're at 21 here in the AP poll. I don't know if I put them right there, but I put them at 23. Move on up, though, with Wake Forest at 22. Wake Forest was doing pretty good. Wake Forest was, and they're still good, but taking a loss to Clemson, they got to fall from 10 here in the playoff rankings. But they got to fall pretty far. And again, I put Clemson, you see here at 21. That was a big win for them. It was kind of a coin flip. I wanted to put Wake Forest just slightly below Clemson, but I can't put them too far. And not only did they lose to Clemson, it was on the road, first off, but it was also it was a blowout. It was 48-27, 21-point game. Clemson has beat Wake Forest 13 years straight, and Clemson, honestly, they looked like the team that we've been used to seeing. Like, they looked like Clemson on Saturday. Is that the turning point for this team? Dabo doesn't have to bench anybody. DJ is still great. It's the talent and the coaching that has been a key issue this year. Not a lack of talent, but more so it just hasn't been what it needs to be, and it's very young. But they look like a Clemson program. They looked like this team that could go out and win a title. Now, obviously, they're not going to do that. But yeah, if they beat Wake Forest handily too, by the way. So I put them right there in the bottom 20 to 25 range. I put them right above Wake Forest. It's not a bad loss for Wake Forest. They're 9-2. They've had a great season. It's been amazing. I got to give them props. So Houston, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Wake Forest, Clemson, San Diego State. 19 through 16 on this next list and banner here. I got Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's pretty good too. They're not bad. They're 9-2. They're currently ranked at 18. I think they could drop one spot, even though they won. I don't, you can't drop them too far. It looks like they're going to win the Coastal. They did beat Clemson. They lost to Miami a few weeks ago, but they're on a 3-game win streak. That defense has looked spectacular. Outside of this past weekend with Virginia, do I expect them to beat Syracuse this week? I really don't know. That's a game I don't want to mess with too much, but they're looking like they're going to be the team out of the Coastal, and have a shot at the ACC title. If they win this Saturday, they'd be 10-2. If they win the ACC, they're an 11-2 ACC champion. They're not making the playoffs. It's not going to happen. I mean, if the committee wanted to put them in, they could, but they won't. But you got to give them props. I do think they are a top 20 team somewhere. I'd only drop them one spot, but then I got Wisconsin in there. Now, Wisconsin, when you look at them, they got a good win against Nebraska. But, again, it's Scott Frost. And they do have a quality win over Iowa, who was number 9 and undefeated at the time. They have not lost since a loss to Michigan back in early October. It was number 14. They have beaten number 9 Iowa. They have beaten Army, even though they were unranked. Army's not that bad of a team. They beat on the road number 25 Purdue. Their defenses look great these past few games. I mean, they struggled against Nebraska, but they got it done. They beat Northwestern 35-7. They beat Rutgers 52-3. Say whatever you want. Oh, quality wins. They're not quality wins. Maybe. But Wisconsin's look like they've been on a roll, and they have had some really good moments and some good offense. When you look at this Wisconsin team, sorry, you got to give them credit. Graham Mertz is a great quarterback, over 1,000 yards passing. Braylon Allen is running the ball very well. Danny Davis. You have guys out there receiving, Jake Ferguson, Kendrick Pryor, Marcus Allen. I mean, you have all these receivers. They have an amazing offense. I don't know if I don't want to say elite, but they're good. They're 8-3. Are they New Year's Six bowl bound? They might get a New Year's Six bowl or one of the lower tier bowls that's not quite New Year's Six. I mean, are they the team for the Citrus Bowl or something? Maybe they are, but that's still a good bowl destination. If you're Wisconsin, I'd take it this year. I don't even remember what their record was last year, but again, like for the Big Ten and everything last year, it was crazy. But I think for a team like Wisconsin to only have 3 losses on the year this season, and to be 8-3 right now, potentially 8-4 or 9-3, depending on what happens this upcoming Saturday. I think if you're Wisconsin, you're taking that record any given day. If you beat Minnesota, that'd be great. If you lose to them, you're at least hoping that you keep it close in a way. But I'd put them at 18. Next on the list, yes, they beat Iowa, but that was a few weeks ago. Well, maybe you could flip-flop Iowa and Wisconsin, but I'd say they're both like 17 and 18. The defense for Iowa, I think, is still one of the better ones in college football, although it's looked pretty shaky the past couple of weeks. They still need some offense, but they're on a 3-game win streak, holding teams to at least under 24 points in the past 3 games. The offense has definitely picked it up. 17 points against Northwestern. Okay. Then 27 against Minnesota. Some improvement, 10 more points. 33 points against Illinois. Right. Still, their highest scoring game was 51 points. I don't know where that offense went, but it's not there. But again, I'd put Iowa somewhere in the, not top 15, but I got to put them somewhere. I mean, look, honestly, like I said, once we get to the top 15 and beyond, I really – that's when it's really going to matter. I don't know. You could put whatever – you could do whatever you want, 25 through 20, 19 to 16, whatever. But I got Iowa right there. This was not easy to do. The next one on the list is Utah. Well, I almost put UTSA there. They're 11-0. I have them at 13. I wanted to swap them, but I don't know. again, this is tough to call, but Utah's looking like a really good team in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is not that good this year, honestly, but Utah's looking like one of the better teams, at least in the conference. And could they potentially go on and win the Pac-12? Yeah, I believe they're still alive. I'll have to double check the standings, but I think they're one of the better teams record-wise in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 has not had the best of years, and yes, they are 7-1 in the conference. They're 8-3. They're ranked number 16 currently. They got to beat Oregon. It looks like they've practically clinched the South. At least if they win this week, they will. They're not bad, but I got them there at 16. I think what they're doing, I think the team that they have is incredible. They have 2 wins against ranked teams this year. They haven't lost since Oregon State on the road, and they really only lost by 8 points there. Their losses aren't even bad. You had a 2-point loss to San Diego State. They have a hard time closing out some games. Their defense against Oregon this past weekend looked great. Oregon was looking to keep it alive for the Pac-12 and potentially the college football playoff, and Utah took care of it and knocked them out of the race. I think they're going to beat Colorado this week. I like their defense. The defense will show up. The offense, Cameron Rising and company, has looked incredible. Over 1,000 yards passing. Tavion Thomas is a great running back, 836 yards. Defense is great. The key guy is Devin Lloyd, who's a linebacker. He's got 3 picks on the year. He's got 91 tackles. Overall, I look at Utah and I say they're not a playoff team, but they darn sure are pretty good, and you got to give them props. You got to give them credit for the year that they've had. That being said, let's look at 15 through 11, then we get into the top 10. At 15, I got A&M. They're at 16 in this poll here that you're seeing on your screen. I think they might move up 1 spot. I think that win over Alabama, it was the upset of the year, whoopity-doo, blah, 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 whatever. I just don't know how you drop them very far after a win like that. And then they beat Missouri. Then they beat South Carolina. They beat 13 Auburn last week or 2 weeks ago. They lost by 10 on the road in Oxford to Ole Miss, getting their 3rd loss. That's not bad. I expect them to beat LSU on Saturday too, by the way. They play a team like Prairie View last weekend or this weekend, whatever, 52-3. It's a good resting game. I like what Zach Calzada and this offense have done. Just shy of 2,000 passing yards. He's got 14 touchdowns. Isaiah Spiller has 984 rushing yards off 168 carries. He's got 6 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Weidemeyer is a tight end, one of the top guys in the draft. He's very good at blocking, pass catching ability. It's amazing. 36 receptions and 4 touchdowns for him on the year. He leads the team. So I put Texas A&M there at 15. Oregon, 9-2. Man, Oregon, I'll tell you what, taking that loss, it's not good. They were at number 3. You can't expect them to fall out of the rankings, fall very far. I mean, they lost to a ranked Utah team, but it was 38-7 on the road. Utah has some good defense, but Oregon, man, your offense did not show up. I'll give you some credit. I'll keep you in the top 15. But I don't know. I'm going to put them at 14. Oregon is really a disappointing team this year, for sure. UTSA, they're undefeated. And again, I don't know. I don't know what it is with me in records, but I see an undefeated team like that. I got to give them props. They're currently 22. They're 10-0. They've yet to lose a game. 34-31. They beat a team like UAB. That's a good win for them. It was close, but they got it done. I don't know why, but I just have a good feeling that they're looking like that. I don't know what it is that I'd put them right there at 13. You just be glad I don't have them top 10. But then I got BYU, Michigan State. I'm not going to talk about every single team. I mean, those teams are good. 10-2 if BYU wins their next game. 10-2 if Michigan beats Penn State, or Michigan State beats Penn State. That'd be pretty good for those teams, especially. But they're not quite top 10. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of this. We get to the top 10 here. You could probably take a guess what teams I haven't mentioned that need to be ranked and say, okay, we know who's in your top 10, but where do you have them? Well, I'm going to start here. The playoffs are still alive for Oklahoma. Caleb Williams has looked amazing, giving them a spark that Spencer Rattler just could not. They do have a loss, though. The defense, again, I've mentioned before, I am done hyping up the Oklahoma defense. I'm done with it. It's finally the year they're going to have defense, and then they never have the defense you expect them to have, and it's not really that good. They're currently at number 10. I don't think they're going to move. Or when you look at the AP poll, at least, I think it'll look pretty similar in the top 10 for the for the college football playoff poll tonight. I think it'll look pretty similar to what the top 25 poll has. But if you look at last week, Oklahoma was at 13. They got to move up, definitely for sure. I think that Ole Miss gets in there. They're at number 12 last week. I got them at number 9. They're coming off a win over Vandy. They're on a 3-game win streak. The defenses look pretty good in those games. They got defense together. The offense has slowed down a bit, but should that really stop them? I don't think so. I think that's a New Year's 16 right there. Baylor's on a 2-game win streak. That's a great win that they had over Oklahoma. They're 9-2. They got a game against Texas Tech. I think they can finish 10-2 actually. And a great win, 10 points on the road over Kansas State. That's not bad. Offense could have done better, but I love the Baylor defense this year. I got a 9-2 team at number 8 there. 10-1. Notre Dame's got to be in there. I think they're overrated. I don't like Notre Dame being ranked. I don't like this whole let's not have a conference, but yet put us in the playoffs anyway. I don't like that. But being fair, I give Notre Dame credit. They are a good team. Their only loss is still to Cincinnati. Their defenses look phenomenal the past 3 or 4 games. Their offenses look great. They find ways to beat teams like Navy, UNC, USC. Now, these teams are not ranked. Now, they did early on beat a ranked Wisconsin team in a blowout, which is great and all, but at the time, like Wisconsin now, I mean, they're 8-3, but Notre Dame is just, Jack Cohen is a great quarterback. I think he's leading a great offense, but that defense of Notre Dame is very, very strong as always. I mean, Notre Dame historically is great defensively overall. But I'd put them there at number 7. Number 6, now we get into the business. All right, Oklahoma State got to take care of Oklahoma this week. They're looking really good. Currently, they're at number 9. They're still ranked ahead of Oklahoma. Notre Dame's ahead of them, but I'm going to put them one spot ahead of Notre Dame. But right here, though, I put them right there at number 6, and Notre Dame at 7, by the way, you looking at that. But getting back to this is a Oklahoma State, Michigan, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Alabama, and Georgia. This is the one that matters, folks. Why are these the top 6 teams? Why are Michigan and Oklahoma State the first 2 teams out? Is this okay? Let's start with Oklahoma State. Spencer Sanders is the quarterback. They have amazing pass rush. They have great weapons. The offense is, it's 50-50. It's up and down. But I got to give them credit. They look good. They're 10-1. Did anyone expect this from the Cowboys this year? I did not. And they have just amazed me and surprised me this season. And I got to give them credit. And, I mean, let's be honest, some of these teams that are ranked this high, it's like, well, would you put it over this team or that team? No, you wouldn't. So, this team's got to be ahead. They might not be the number 6 team, but they're darn sure not, BYU at 8 or whatever, hypothetically speaking. But I like Oklahoma State. They're 10-1. They're still alive for the playoffs. They could win this Saturday, beat Oklahoma, and they could go and they could play for the Big 12 title, and they could be 12-1 Big 12 champion. Would they like that? They could be one of those teams that could be a head scratcher. I know we kind of sit here and say we know who's getting in, and undefeated Cincinnati's in there, or Georgia's in there, or Bama. And if Bama beats Georgia, then that's 2 spots right there because Georgia will still get it. Look, I get all that. But I really think, you could probably predict 3 of the teams. And then the 4th spot's like all these guys fighting to get to the table, But I'd put Oklahoma State at 6. I really like them this year. I like Spencer Sanders. I love the team that they have, and I think that they are building something great this season. I think they have been. They're 9-1. They have some good wins over like 25 Texas at the time, 21 Baylor, 25 Kansas State. Their loss is Iowa State, which wasn't good. It was on the road. It was 3 points, which, again, Iowa State's not a bad team this year. They're just not, what we expected them to be. But, still. But they're on a 4-game win streak, and they have a chance at home. And a lot of people are favoring the Cowboys, by the way, who just their defense, they are only allowing 14 points, if not 15 points a game. Now, Oklahoma's scoring a little bit more offensively than Oklahoma State is, but let's be honest, Oklahoma's offense, man, has not been all that. It's a 4-point spread, and, they're going to host them at Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater this Saturday, and it's going to be a great game. It will be a night game on ABC. And if Oklahoma wins that, they're going to the Big 12 title. So, and they'll be a 1-loss team they could very much be the 1-loss Big 12 champion. And if that's the case, maybe they make the playoffs. And if they don't, they got to at least be one of the 2 teams outside, right? They have to take 5 or 6, if not maybe even 7. But I'd put them right there. Michigan 10-1, Harbaugh's best team yet. Telling you that. McNamara, Hassan Haskins, this offense is amazing. I said this on the stream last night when we were talking about Ohio State and Michigan and how the one thing that I see a lot of great offense, but if you want to pick a team with defense to win a game, you got to pick Michigan. The Wolverines' defense has looked incredible, I think, and I think they're on a good path. Their 1 loss is to Michigan State, who, again, took another loss to Ohio State this past weekend. They have looked great. They scored 59 on Saturday, gave up 18. Now, the offense, again, look, the past 2 games outside of Maryland this past weekend, it was 29-7 victory. Then it was 21-17. So, it hasn't been its best at times. Some inconsistency, but that defense is very, very strong. They have home field advantage against Ohio State this weekend. They're allowing 16 points a game, scoring about 36. And look, we talked about the game last night. I just have a gut feeling Michigan could pull it off this year. I think they could win the Big Ten. I really do. I'm going to put them at 5. That being said, you move on up to Ohio State. Yes, they're the best team in the Big Ten. But again, and I'll admit that. Right now, yes, they are a better team than Michigan. But just because a team is better than one team, that doesn't necessarily automatically qualify them to automatically outright win the game. They should. Now, okay, it's not a Michigan should lose this, but Ohio State should win that game. If you get what I'm saying. So it's like, I'm calling an upset. It shouldn't. this is Michigan's best team that Harbaugh's had so far. And I think this will be truly their best chance to finally get over that hump and beat the Buckeyes. Ohio State should win the game. They're favored. They should be. But again, like I said, I think it's going to be Michigan. And they're 5 right now, at least for me. In my book, I put them at 5. Then I put Ohio State. And then I put Cincinnati. Cincinnati's ranked that high until they lose. And I don't think they're going to do that. I think they play Houston or whoever this weekend. Cincinnati's ranked until they lose. That's really all I can say. And I mean, they're not a bad team. This is just how I would put them right now. I'd put Cincinnati at 3. Number 2, Alabama. Number 1, Georgia. Again, Alabama, I'm sorry. I know I've been critical about Bryce Young. You know, he's gotten better. He's improved. He's looked great. And please don't tell me the defense has been our issue. It's been amazing. The defense has been great. The run game and the offensive line has been the struggles for Bama. But still, even outside of that, yeah, they're still looking like one of the best teams. Is it Georgia, Bama, and everybody else this year? I mean, you could look at it and say rankings-wise, yes, because they're 1 and 2. Okay. This is Georgia's year for a national title. At least until they lose, I'm picking Georgia to win every other game. I'm telling you that now. And again, the top 6, again, the first 2 out, Oklahoma State and Michigan, but then you got Ohio State, Cincinnati, Bama, and of course, Georgia. But you guys let me know. I know I went live for this. I didn't really feel like recording much, but if you guys watch this back, you guys let me know what you think about my rankings. Do you agree with them? What would you change? Who should be in the top 10 that's not? Who should be ranked that isn't? Who's ranked that maybe shouldn't be? I mean, should Mississippi State be ranked? I mean, does it matter? Again, I mentioned like 20 outside of the top 15, it really doesn't matter. That's when you get into all of the better teams and everything that you want to look at. And then, of course, the top 10. But again, this is opinionated. We'll see the ranking show tonight and see how it plays out. I got it written down, and I got it on here too. I might get a couple of these right. I might. I don't know. I mean, maybe. I'm at least hoping, however order you put them in, I'm at least hoping that this here at the bottom, the top 6 teams would be right. You know. Like if they had Georgia, Ohio State, Cincinnati, Michigan, Bama, Oklahoma State, they switch them around just a bit, I'd be like, well, hey, I still got the top 6 teams, though. But, again, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm going to get out of here. I wanted to come on here, it being Tuesday. We got the ranking show tonight at, I think it's 7 Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check. Let me see. When is the show? Because sometimes it's at 9, sometimes it's at 7. I don't know. But anyways, it'll be on tonight. But I'm going to get out of here. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. Please like, comment, and subscribe right here to Ballard Sports Media for more sports content. Happy Thanksgiving. From a Bama fan, roll tide, roll. Auburn, we're going to come and we're going to give you some hell this week. Woo! Love y'all. Happy Thanksgiving. God bless. Jesus loves you. Ballard Sports Media. Check it out.
Okay. Roll down tide.
Good boy, son.